All right, Hunter, we are live.
Terrific.
I have my camera off because no one wants to see me.
Okay.
They're all here to see you. They can hear you. So we
Fantastic.
want to welcome everybody to the live video chat with Hunter Cure. This is a first for us, and we're pretty excited about this. This is all a part of the Meet Cinch team. And so pretty much what we're doing is fans out there, we want you to send in your questions. If you have Google+, you can actually be here talking with Hunter, screen to screen, voice to voice. All you have to do is just let us know you have Google+, and give us that secret password because it's only limited to 8 people. And we'll get you added in on this chat here. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Hunter. There we go.
Hello, everyone.
So Hunter, we actually want to start things out with a question from Twitter. It's from Katie Stein. She says, what fall or winter rodeos do you most look forward going to and why?
Well, for me, in the fall, after rodeoing all season long, I like to be home, spend that time with my family, and have everything ready to go either for the NFR or in this case, I'll send my horse to the finals this year, but I like everything to be as sharp as can be, ready to go for Fort Worth. To me, if you can go to Denver and Fort Worth and have a little success early on, really greases the wheel for the rest of the year.
Is that going to be your next rodeo that you go to, is Fort Worth?
I actually think may go to an American qualifier or two this fall, perhaps Chakota, Oklahoma, but actually I'm going to leave this weekend on Thursday and go to Kissimmee, Florida for the Wrangler Champions Challenge that they're having down there.
What have you been doing since you've been home?
It's been nonstop work. We have about 500 acres of wheat that we plant in the fall, and just got that wrapped up. Have been buying some Mexican steers so we can have some bull logging steers around here to practice on, and also for the winter buildings around. But mostly is finally get to see my family for the first time in a few months, and certainly have been enjoying that. I know that.
Again, if you want to ask questions, you can post them on our Cinch Jeans Facebook page or on the Cinch Jeans Twitter. Just put the hashtag AskCinchTeam, and we'll make sure to get those questions sent over to Hunter so he can ask you. If you are on here, you can also post them on the chat, which is over on the side.
Well, I'm wondering who our first taker is going to be on this.
Yeah, some people are a little shy, so we'll see what we can.
It happens. There's got to be an icebreaker in every situation, though.
You'd think so. Well, to entice some people, with our previous Meet Cinch team events, we've always given a gift certificate to the best question asked. So we'll continue with that this time. So if you have a question, ask it, and who knows, it might win you a gift certificate for some cinch stuff. Some jeans or a shirt. So definitely get those questions in Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or even on Google.
Feel free to ask away. I guess only one way to find out.
So this summer you had some surgery, which kind of put you on hold for a little bit. It looks like without having the official results, you ended up like 28th in the standings, I want to say, which is pretty good. I mean, for being out those busy months of the summer. What was kind of your game plan coming back into competition after that hiatus of surgery recovery?
Well, first off, I guess I kind of had some reservations mentally that wanted to make sure that my back was strong enough to go back to competing. And after being able to go to about 2 rodeos, I started back at Spanish Fork and went to Ogden. And after those 2 rodeos, I knew that physically it was going to hold together, that from there on, I needed to work on the mental game and know that I needed to not only play catch up, but play catch up in a hurry. Giving guys lots of opportunities to win while I was at home left me about 40th, and I knew that was going to be a pretty big hill to climb. So one steer at a time, and just started working on the mental side of things, knowing that I was healthy enough to compete again.
Can you kind of give us a little bit of background of why you had surgery? I don't think a lot of people understood. It was kind of...
Oh, certainly. Well, one morning in April, I woke up, just got out of bed, and my back was hurting a little bit, kind of lower back, and progressively as April went on, it continued to get worse, and I went to a chiropractor and physical therapy and stuff, but they thought it was a bulging disc, and finally in May I got an MRI done. They knew it was a bulging disc then, and there was actually two of them, but one was causing more pain in between the L4 and L5 joint space. It really had the spinal cord smashed, and they wanted to try non-surgical options first and more therapy. I did acupuncture and a few different things trying to relieve the symptoms, but ultimately it got to where it was bad enough that I couldn't hardly walk. So I went in and had the surgery done here in Wichita Falls, and as soon as it was over, I could get up and walk down the hallway and walk out of the hospital that day. So it was sure the right choice for me.
Yes, definitely sounds like it. Is this the biggest, I guess you could consider it an injury or setback that you've had during your rodeo career?
Certainly. I mean, everybody experiences bumps, bruises. I had my elbow worked on after the NFR, but it didn't hinder me competing there. It was just a kind of an ongoing nuisance, so went in and cleaned it up. But by far, the back was the biggest complaint I've ever had, and it was certainly a crippling injury for me, and I had to have something done.
Well, I can say we're definitely glad you did, and we're glad you're healthy and competing and making it all the way from 40th or wherever you were after the surgery all the way up to 28th to end out this year today. I guess today's the ending day of the 2014 rodeo season, so that's a great accomplishment.
Well, thank you. I would like to throw out a congratulations to Trevor Knowles for being the season leader in the steer wrestling. I think he did an incredible job, start to finish, and a lot better than the rest of us all year long.
Speaking of other steer wrestlers, are there certain guys that you travel with? I know you kind of stick together. So who do you travel with from rodeo to rodeo?
Well, this year I traveled primarily with Matt Reeves, and he was second in the world last year, and it was a good fit. Enjoyed being around him, but shoot, I got hurt and left my horses out on the road with him this year. And as soon as I came back, about 2-3 weeks later, he got hurt, and then he came home. So we really only got to travel together just a little bit in the spring before we were alternating back and forth on injuries.
Did they find a replacement in the truck for you while you were out?
No, I don't guess they did. But I was with Matt, Stan Branco, and Clayton Moore this year, and kind of eventually after I came back, everybody went on doing their own things, and just ended up being me here the last 2 weeks in the truck by myself. So just had to finish it up all alone.
Has your family been able to travel with you?
No, it's been a little complicated this year after just had a baby boy in June when I was home recovering from back surgery. Mixed that in with a wild 2-year-old. Certainly had my wife's plate full without me, and didn't think traveling was a very conducive to a good family environment on the road anyway.
Tell us about those kids. What kind of personalities do they have? What do you see them doing when they are in junior high and high school?
Well, if all things continue, my daughter's going to be the wildest one in her class. But I see her, she's active all the time, so I see her being pretty big in the sports. And I don't know, the baby boy is, probably the best child ever. He doesn't hardly ever complain unless he's hungry or needs change. So no complaints with him whatsoever. But personality-wise, we're yet to see on him.
When you're on the road, where's your favorite place to stop and eat?
I actually like local dives if I can find them. Say if you're in South Texas, I like to find a brightly colored little Mexican food restaurant. If you perhaps get on the West Coast, I might try to find the locally owned little Chinese or Japanese food if I can find it. Just whatever's kind of local to the region and maybe a little unique. Sometimes the dives are the best thing ever, and sometimes they're just dives.
What about rodeo food? Do you tend to eat a lot of the food at the rodeos?
Rodeos are getting better about hospitality over the last several years, but typically you can't ever go wrong with a rodeo burger. I mean, hamburger at any old place will typically work till you can find somewhere else. I tell you what, I can think of one that I look forward to every year, and that's at the Slack at Walla Walla. They won't start serving the cheeseburgers till like 10 a.m., but something about those cheeseburgers with the onions that they cook and put on them, it's by far best rodeo burger of the year, hands down.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if their burger sales go up next year now.
Well, their burger sales have to take a decline after the Slack because there's guys, go get 2 or 3 at a time. It's crazy.
They might finally sell out. So talk to us about the American. You were at the first American from RFD TV in the AT&T Stadium. When you walked into that building for check-in, what kind of emotions were you feeling at that point?
Just after walking in that, you could tell that it's going to be a one-of-a-kind event. There is no duplicating the NFR, and there is no duplicating AT&T Stadium. I mean, two separate things, but all the excitement that you had at the NFR, you can only magnify that at the American. It is truly a one-of-a-kind event and a pretty special place to have a rodeo, honestly. Look forward to going back this year.
So you walk in, you're feeling that, and then you check in, and you're sitting in that arena floor, and that if anybody missed it, it's 2 arenas set up on one football stadium field. What were you thinking when you're sitting outside of that arena gate? We're going to kind of progress through this whole experience of the American. Okay. So before you even start competing, but you're in the arena.
Well,
how did you?
I guess I was certainly glad to be in the arena. I think I was the first one there that morning because it was about 28 degrees and the wind was blowing 40 miles an hour. So I wanted to get my horses inside as quickly as possible because of the conditions outside. But once you go in there, I mean, you had 2 full-size arenas, comparable to the arena at San Antonio. And having 2 of those just lets you know that what a huge place and stadium this truly is. And there was room to warm up your horse behind the arena even before you got to the first row of stands. So, it certainly pretty neat. And as the day went on, stadium starts filling up and you can interact with people, all the way up to the 10th row. They were hollering at you, wanted to visit and talk even before the rodeo even got started. So certainly it has a air and a mystique about it that nowhere else can duplicate.
Yeah, I would have to agree. We were there as one of the sponsors, and it was quite an experience. So you're outside that arena. You finally step foot inside that box, and you look over at your hazer. Who is your hazer?
I actually had Riley Duval hazing for me again. I figured it worked good at the national finals, so why not sign him back up to do a little more work there?
All right, so you're on one side, he's on the other, and you nod, and that steer comes out. And it was your first steer. You had to wrestle 2 steers, correct?
Certainly. There were 16 guys run their first year and top 4 fastest times. Came back and run one in a sudden death contest for the 100,000. And back in the box on my first one, the start was super fast that day. I mean, very similar to the NFR, and I actually got the start down and steer let off. And to be 100% honest, I missed the first one. I mean, his left horn was never in front of me. I hit kind of in front of him, and luckily enough, he stepped around me just enough to let me hook his nose and get him laid over. Happened to be just barely fast enough to win 4th on that deal. And honestly, if the legend Oakberry would have got his steer to hit, he would have bumped me out pretty easy.
So you came in number 4. I mean, any second later, you wouldn't have made it. So going into your second steer, talk us through that run.
Well, in being 4th in the first round, I knew that I would turn around and I would be the first man out in the short round. And knowing that Dean Gorsuch was the fastest time in the long round, knowing that he was going to be last, made it pretty simple for me, that knowing that I would have to take a start and try to absolutely max a steer out. Otherwise, he was going to have the upper hand. So basically, coming back from my second one, it was let it all hang out, leave nothing on the table.
So you were the first one out. You had to sit through 3 other guys before you realized, or before you knew that you had won the American. Was that the most nerve-wracking 4 runs?
Boy, it's pretty hard to sit still. I know that. You want to win, but you don't want to wish ill on the other people that you're competing against at the same time. But man, that 100,000 sure go a long way. So in this case, I made my run, and it happened to work out in my favor that time.
As winning the American, you were given a Polaris. What was the first thing that you did with it when you finally got it back to your land?
Oh, well, we had to test out and see actually how fast it would run. First thing.
Did it hold up to your standards?
I tell you what, it was surprisingly powerful. I'm telling you, backed it off the trailer, and I mean, just getting into as fast as I could down the gravel road, and it topped out about 55 miles an hour, and I can say I'm thoroughly impressed with it.
So there's always some additional perks outside of just the buckles and the paychecks.
Certainly, in this case, I use that Ranger every day around here. Whereas a buckle, you can only wear one at a time. Some of them may be hanging on your shelf, but with that Ranger, it's a welcome addition around our house.
Speaking of buckles, obviously you can only wear one buckle at a time. So where is that elusive gold buckle, the World Champion World Gold Buckle?
Well, it's actually in the dirty clothes pile down at my horse trailer right now. I didn't get it brought in the house, so.
So you wear that one?
I do wear it. I'm thinking it's about to expire though, and hang it up. At the end of this year, I might just have to hang it up and go back to work on trying to win another one.
Good deal. What's the game plan come in next year to get you that spot at the NFR?
My thought is attack early and attack often. So hopefully Denver and Fort Worth and a few of the others, I'm planning on winning more at those than I ever have in the past, and trying to set a personal goal of having 40,000 by mid-April this next time around.
We're still chatting here with Hunter Cure on the Meet Cinch Team live Google chat. If anybody has any questions for Hunter, feel free to send them in. We can take them in on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or even the Google chat. So don't be shy or afraid. Just send them on in. I see that there's a couple people watching, so I know you're out there.
Fantastic. Y'all can comment on the array of things behind me. I mean, there's a high chair and a baby playpen over here. I mean, ask away. We have a few skulls right behind my ear over here. I mean, all questions are welcome.
Let's talk about the skulls. We're up here in Colorado. Cinch is based in Denver, Colorado. So we're kind of big hunters up here. Where did the skulls come from?
All from this ranch. There's a lot of whitetail deer hunting here on my mother's place, and some of the skulls were killed by me, and others were actually just found carcasses that we still think that there's a mountain lion somewhere roaming around this part of the world, and one of these days I'd like to catch up with him.
Do you just pretty much stick with whitetail hunting, or have you done others?
For the most part, I have a real fascination to go to Montana and kill an elk, and I would love nothing more than to go to Canada and kill a moose at some point. But as for right now, when I get home in the fall, it's work and kids right now, so better tend to that for a little while, and when they get a little bit older, maybe I'll get to slip off for a week or two.
Tell us about growing up. Did your family rodeo? Are you kind of the one rodeo person?
I guess growing up, my stepdad's family showed paint horses from the 70s, I mean, all the way through the 90s. We always had paint horses growing up, halter horses, Western pleasure. So that was kind of my background. I was always around horses and agriculture. We had a grain elevator growing up, and so I had an older stepbrother that started steer wrestling, and eventually he decided that he was going to go to work and not bulldog anymore. And I was about 13 at that time, and we already had a couple high school type horses. There were steers and an arena already set up, so I guess it was kind of a natural fit for me just to step right in where he left off.
If you weren't rodeoing, what would you be doing?
Well, I'm pretty heavily involved in the cattle operation side on this ranch, but I think long term I may go back and take a few continuing education classes, maybe even sign back up at Texas Tech, my alma mater, and I'd like to learn a little bit more about the stock market and perhaps buying and trading either commodities or live cattle, or perhaps just get a little bit better on hedging and funds and things like that.
And remind us, what does your wife do?
My wife works for a wind turbine company called Invenergy. She's home-based, but their home office is in Chicago, Illinois. And so she helps to, she's a project development manager, so any new area that they want to go into and they're looking at putting up either wind turbine sites, solar sites, she'll be kind of the first person that a landowner would talk to and go about setting up a wind farm in a new location.
And she was your high school sweetheart, is that correct?
Certainly. We met in high school, dated a little bit there, dated through college, and that was a up and down, high and low kind of thing. But we got married right after college, and been pretty dedicated ever since.
And how long have you two been together, married?
In another month, it'll make 8 years.
8 years.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Perhaps got married a little too early in life. I don't know.
No, because then you wouldn't have those cute kids.
Oh, we could still have them. The oldest one's only 2.
Okay. Is that a bird we hear in the background?
Yes, it is. I don't really know what's going on out there. My wife's trying to occupy the 2-year-old so she doesn't come in and start trying to close the screen on the computer.
Oh boy, she does sound like a handful.
Oh, she is wide open from the time her eyes open to the time they close again.
Awesome. So how has your experience been with another new adventure in rodeo, which is these cinch shootouts?
Certainly, been able to go to Fort Madison and Albuquerque, New Mexico so far. I think the cinch shootouts are a very unique, action-packed deal for the fans. Um, it's a great opportunity for the Cowboys to be able to go and compete and in an environment like that because they can turn on the music and turn on the lights and have a grand opening that features all the Cowboys and lets the fans actually see us up close and personal. We get to go and compete and come back for another sudden death short round type deal. And I feel like it's perhaps the start of a new age in rodeo.
So you've been on the road to a lot of these new events as well as your traditional rodeos. There's got to be some good road stories that you can tell us, a little dirt on some people or
Well, there are good rodeo stories, but I will let people come out to the rodeos if they want to experience some of them.
right. So we're still chatting here with Hunter Cure, just double checking all of our Twitter and Facebook and Google, everything like that.
Multiple accounts. You have to be kind of an orchestrator for all that.
So tell the fans out there maybe just something that, unless they didn't really know you or weren't on this chat or something that they wouldn't know about you. I mean, just something random, different.
Well, I'm kind of what you see is what you get type of person. My wife always tells people, beware what you ask me because you're going to get the truth the first time, and it will come out without a filter. So I guess blunt and straightforward is pretty much it.
Let's say, a young rodeo kid comes up to you and he's either just started or looking at rodeoing and he wants to know if it's what your biggest piece of advice would be to him starting out. What would that be?
So many different avenues to take that question. I would say follow your dreams. If this is what you want to do, pursue it with all your heart, all your strength, and all your energy. I feel like you only get out of something what you put in it. So if rodeo is what you want to do, find the best person in your event and learn as much as you can from them, and continue to learn. I guess you never stop learning. No matter what the level, there's always something that someone else does that's really good, and maybe somebody else, even if you're a world champion, somebody else does one thing a little better than you that allows them to win a lot as well. And I sure think that the minute that you stop trying to learn, that's where you're going to top out at. And you may be a world champion, but you only may be a one-time world champion. I think with guys such as Luke Branquino or Cody Ole, they have continued to work on their craft until it's go buckle after go buckle for them.
What about on the technical side of things? What's, if you're having some hard times in the arena, what's the number one thing that you'll go back to and kind of reevaluate?
Well, personally for me, if the bulldogging hasn't been turning into paychecks and added dollars for the standings trying to get to the NFR, you always have to go back to the basics, and at least for me in my case, would be scoring. I feel like if there's one thing that I can always be perfect on or always work on, it's trying to hit the barrier each and every single time. And I feel like if I haven't been winning enough money, that I can go back and be aggressive on the barrier, and that would allow me to be able to get back into the winner's circle.
Growing up or starting out in rodeo, was there someone that you looked up to?
When I was growing up, my stepbrother, who steer wrestled for a little while, was always around Mickey G, and I feel like he's probably one of the biggest influences on me as a kid, say 14 through when I was in college, because he won the world his first trip to the NFR in '99, and he made two more appearances, and he was certainly really good at what he did. And having an opportunity of only living 45 miles away from him, I will say that Mickey was a big experience for me as a kid, and certainly learned how to go and travel and win from a guy like that.
We've hit our 30-minute mark. So unless anybody has any questions that they type in super quick, I think we're going to call it a night. Hunter, is there anything else that you want to share with fans before we say adios?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if Christmas is coming around, and I don't think it's too early to start buying cinched jeans and shirts for your entire family, or curl girls for the girls. I think plan early on Christmas, and I'd start with cinch.
Ask the question, what is your favorite cinch jean?
I've got about all of them, but the Fastback is probably my favorite. I do like the silvers, the whites, and the blacks, but black labels, but Fastback probably overall is my favorite.
And which one is your favorite cinch shirt?
Oh, I will say that I'm a big fan of the some of the shirts that you had a couple years ago. I like the print designs. Have a small print all the way around. I used to like plaid, and boy, I got away from that and started going with the print colored shirts, and I really like them.
Speaking of shirts, and one of the pictures that we posted earlier this week was of you wearing the lime green shirt with the lime green boots showing, and we did have a question on what boots those were. So do you want to? I mean, that's kind of an iconic photo that people have seen a lot of. So what boots are those?
Certainly, those are Olathe boots. They've been my sponsor for 2 years now, and they sent me those right before the NFR last year. I wore them the whole time while at Vegas and at the American, and I thought for Houston I would pull out the lime green shirt that would match it, that had cinch on it, and sport them both wild and proud right at the same time.
Well, definitely got you noticed. All right. Well, thank you, Hunter, so much. We want to thank everybody for watching. And again, this chat will be available on YouTube after we stop broadcasting. We hope everybody enjoyed it, and look for Hunter Cure at your rodeos coming up. Thanks, Hunter.
Thank you.